Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Objection Celebrity Court Chatter. We have a great episode for y'all this morning. I decided to go punny with the uh, thumbnail again, and the topic is feeling rusty. Let's catch up. Obviously, we're going to be going over the Alec Baldwin rust cases, what is going on with that, an update. I know it's a bit of an older case, but there was still a ton of pending cases. Some have been settled, some have been dismissed. So this was kind of my Roman Empire for a little bit, especially with the court fashion and the armor that had gone to trial for it. I was literally obsessed with the court fashion for Hannah. Yesterday, I said Hannah was the person that had passed away. That was Helena. Hannah was the armor, is the only one to serve any time for what happened. So we're going to go through that and update you guys on that. So that's why it's called Feeling Rusty. Let's catch up. So I'm going to catch you guys up on everything that that is going on. We have Blake Lively and Isabella Ferrer up there because there's lots going on with the subpoena that she's, trying to avoid. She responded, obviously, to Blake's. It seems like some people say she didn't respond to Lively's yet. I'm not quite sure. So if anybody in the comment knows if she has or hasn't, I don't believe it's been clear in the paperwork whether she has, but it seems like she's at least accepted that one. And then I believe that they did say they're demanding paperwork that was not included in the original subpoena. So yeah, we're gonna get into Perez Hilton. You see him there in the middle. We're gonna get into a docket drop from last night where the Lively parties, they have a attorney in Nevada now, and they filed an opposition to his motion to quash. So we're gonna get into that. As well as Brian Freedman's clapback. I mean, it was so great. His clapback to the Lively parties wanting sanctions on him and wanting to remove his pro hack vice and all that. So we're gonna get into that. It's gonna be a great show. Ronnie from the UK, I love it. So yeah, my top followers right now are. It used to be U.S. and Canada, but now the UK has overcome Canada, and so now my top followers are coming from the US and the UK. So yeah, good morning everyone. It's Ciao Jen. Good morning. There's Wrathful. Who else is here this morning? Khaleesi. Joy, good morning. And Khaleesi's here live. Thank you, Khaleesi. She made the live crew. A lot of people are like, it's so early, I can't make it live. But hey, early bird catches the worm. Get your workout in after the show or while you're listening to the show. But it's afternoon for some of y'all in the UK, right? So yeah, I guess we're just gonna get right into it. Thank you, everyone. Oh, Anna from London. Thank you, Anna, for the support and the heart. Motivation for this morning, and then Marie with the coffee emoji, all these little emojis giving me some motivation this morning. But I appreciate y'all for coming by. It's going to be a great show. So let's go ahead and get into yesterday we had a request to go in order of the show because some people will look at the description. And Riley, shout out to Riley for that, because you know what, that's cool. Then you know when to hop in if you want to sleep in a little bit because you care more about the lively stuff. There's Riley LFG. Thank you so much, Riley, for the tips. And I'm loving the feedback from the followers. I know y'all wanted a shorter show, so I'm trying to keep it under an hour, 45 minutes. So I love the feedback. I know a lot of you were talking about the technical stuff. We now have someone helping us with the technical stuff. So hopefully we don't have, sound issues or anything like that on the show. We also have, just a ton of feedback from the public. Riley says, thank you for considering my suggestion. You're the bomb. Of course, I love follower feedback. And so, that's something that I appreciate you guys, coming coming to me with, because that's how I make a better show. Always listening to the followers. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into the show here, and let me pull up. What is the one thing I always have trouble with, y'all? The very first share screen. Here we go. I think I did it a little bit faster this time. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the Rust trial. As y'all remember, the Alec Baldwin Rust trial. So for those who are very brand new and don't know, we're going to give you guys a little breakdown of what it entails. That picture there is right after the incident was happening, as Baldwin was on the phone with someone. I'm not sure if it was 911 or what, but he was criminally charged at one point for involuntary manslaughter following the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the Rust set in October of 2021. He basically was doing a scene. Helena was behind the camera, and the trigger somehow went off. He said that he didn't pull the trigger, but the trigger somehow went off, and there was a live bullet in there when there should not have been a live bullet. It went to trial in July of 2024, but it was dismissed with prejudice partway through the proceedings. It was so spicy. So they were in the middle of the trial when the judge determined that prosecutors had failed to share key evidence with Baldwin's defense, particularly regarding the source of the live ammunition. This failure was deemed highly prejudicial and fundamentally unfair to Baldwin. So the key evidence that was so spicy that led to that dismissal of involuntary manslaughter was a batch of live ammunition that law enforcement received during the investigation. It was believed to be potentially linked to the fatal shooting on set, but it was withheld from the defense team, Alec Baldwin's defense team, by the prosecutors and the sheriff's office. These bullets were cataloged under a different case number, not tested for a link to the fatal round, and not disclosed to the defense, which is a violation of Brady rules requiring prosecutors to disclose any evidence potentially beneficial to the defense. So the judge found this concealment highly prejudicial, stating the late disclosure injected needless delay into the proceedings and it was bad faith. So they dismissed the case with prejudice, meaning that Baldwin cannot be prosecuted again for this charge. And they concluded that there was no way to remedy the wrongful handling and withholding of that criminal evidence. So in lieu of anything else, they had to dismiss the case. And there was something similar in a criminal trial that I followed with Barry Morphew. But that case, it was without prejudice, which meant, because basically the prosecutors threw in the towel once they realized the investigation was messed up. So they're like, you know what, we're just going to retry him when we have more evidence. We don't have enough. There was some, mistakes made or whatever. And so he got to walk free. I think I have a video on it. Barry Morphew, the Chipmunk Slayer. Y'all should go check that one out. But yeah, so he got out and then they retried him with new evidence. But that one, like I said, it was without prejudice. But it's a interesting case if y'all want to look into that one, the Chipmunk Slayer. So yeah, so he definitely is not facing criminal charges anymore. But he did have a bunch of pending civil cases. So we're going to go over what has been settled, what has been dismissed, and what is still pending. Which cases do we still have on the docket? So the first one here is Baldwin's civil lawsuit against prosecutors and police. In January of 2025, after winning the dismissal of those criminal charges, Baldwin then sued New Mexico's prosecutors, the sheriff's officials, and others for malicious abuse of process, intentional spoliation of evidence, defamation, and violation of his civil rights. He alleged the prosecution was pursued for political and personal reasons and that evidence was concealed or mishandled. And so that brings us to the latest update, which was just a couple weeks ago. Alec Baldwin's defamation and abusive process lawsuit against the prosecutors in the Rust case were dismissed by the judge. So the civil lawsuit was dismissed. It says in court documents obtained by People on Wednesday, July 30th, the lawsuit was dropped due to no significant action taking place on 180 or more days since the claims were first filed. And it says, as such, all claims by Baldwin in the lawsuit have been dismissed without prejudice. Judge Case B. Fitch noted in her ruling that Baldwin may move for reinstatement within 30 days. Baldwin first filed the lawsuit in January, 6 months after the involuntary manslaughter charge against him was dropped. So one of the things that when they dropped it, it was because he never even filed like the proof of service of the case to the prosecutors. Like all he ever did was just file the lawsuit, and then there was no activity. But his let me see if it's here. Yeah, but it might be down here. No, I don't think the statement. Their statement was basically that they were working behind the scenes with the prosecutor's office, and so they're like, we're having talks with them, so this isn't necessary. So I'm wondering what those talks are. In this article, it does not have. It doesn't have that, but I remember reading that they said that behind the scenes. Here they just said the false and defamatory statements carry the unmistakable message that Baldwin committed a serious crime, that he negligently or recklessly caused the death of another human. That was what was in the court documents. So, and it says that he felt defamed when there was a CNN interview that he had a duty to make sure the set was safe. So, they were kind of going around talking, and he says that was, I believe it was the prosecutor and the district attorney, Mary Carmack Atwells, who went and did that interview saying that. So that's been dismissed. So he's not pursuing them for defamation or anything like that. And like I said, I read somewhere else that they were in some kind of talks and that they would refile if necessary. So obviously that's not necessary right now. Let's see if y'all are. Yes, the armor went to jail. And we're going to get into, she's no longer in jail. We're going to get into an update on the armor. Good morning, Senti. Oh, thank you for checking us out. If you're not subscribed, go. You can hit the bell up there to get notifications. We're on every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. So I'm glad that it popped up for you and you get to check it out. Jane says it was a publicity stunt. Well, some people feel that way because, he's getting into the political stuff a little bit more. Y'all hear my little kitten? All right, go ahead. Needs to go out. Okay. And so, yeah, Jane, maybe that's right there. So let's go down to the next one, which was the lawsuit by crew members for emotional distress. And that one has been settled. So 3 crew members, Ross Adiego, Doran Curtin, and Reese Price, who witnessed the 2021 shooting, had sued Baldwin plus the rest producers for negligence and emotional distress, alleging unsafe working conditions and cost cutting had led to the tragedy. But about 8 weeks ago, the case was settled. Details are confidential, but both sides moved to dismiss the case, confirming all claims have been settled and compromised. So that's him in the courtroom. It says the civil suit had accused producers of failing to follow industry safety rules, allegations that they denied. The terms of the settlement were not available. Attorneys for Rust producers and the plaintiffs were not able to be reached for comment. They were frontline crew members who had witnessed at close range the fatal shooting of Helena Hutchins during the rehearsal on October 2021 on the film set on the ranch on the outskirts of Santa Fe. And so it goes into Adiego had testified at the armorer's trial, Gutierrez-Reed's trial, and appeared before the grand jury that had indicted Baldwin. And the film was completed. It was released back in May. It's a Western. I do watch Westerns, but I have not seen the Rust movie. So I don't know if anyone in the chat has seen it, can comment on how the film turned out or what. And the last one that we have is the potential ongoing civil case with Helena Hutchinson's family. So the basis of that lawsuit is So this is the last one left. So he's, overcome all the other stuff. They're suing him for negligence and wrongful death. He had already settled a wrongful death lawsuit by Hutchins' husband and her son. But now the parents of Helena Hutchins and the sister want to, file this negligence, saying that she, provided most of the support for the family. And they live in the Ukraine. And so I'm not sure how they're filing it here, if they have dual residency. I don't know how that works, filing overseas or nothing, but because I know they lived in the Ukraine, maybe they live in the States now, but she would basically send money home. And so they're like, um, this is, this is wrong. And they want to get compensation for it. The family's attorney is Gloria Allred of, Gloria Allred fame. So she's trying to get them paid. I'm sure that he's probably going to settle. He had a deposition scheduled for May, and it was rescheduled to be determined. Basically, he has not sat for his deposition yet. So the attorneys must be talking behind the scenes. Given that this lawsuit with the crew members just settled in June, end of June, so a couple weeks ago, I'm assuming that this is going to be settling as well. And so basically they're saying the same thing. It was reckless behavior. There was cost-cutting measures on the set, all of that stuff. And like I said, since he settled with the son and the husband, I'm assuming that this will also be settled. It just seems like that's the way that it's going. And then finally, like someone brought up, is Hannah Gutierrez. Oh, there's an ad here. Hold on. Sorry, y'all. Hannah Gutierrez. So parole was granted. This was at the end of May for Rust Armour, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, and she was ordered to stay away from Helena Hutchins' family. So I was literally obsessed with this case because this was her kind of like in her jail uniform, and then she went through like a full transformation. Let me see if there's any pictures. There's not pictures in this one, but she went through a full transformation through the trial, where her wardrobe, she had like a stylist and everything. And it was like, I don't know, I'm into court fashion. So I was really into the case just to see her transformation. Because she was kind of gothy a little bit more, like, I don't know, but then they started curling her hair. She had like a whole transformation. But anyways, she served 85% of her 18-month sentence and received extra marks for good behavior and the completion of a drug rehab program. And she's the only one that has basically, had accountability for what happened. She was the one responsible for loading the gun. There were 2 other people who were supposed to check the gun before it got to Alec. They were not prosecuted. And I guess the story goes that they would use the guns with real bullets to go like shooting in between takes. There's other stories that live bullets were accidentally brought in, or that she was disorganized on set that had like different pouches with different bullets. So a lot of different theories, but yeah, it was enough to get her 18 months in jail. And yeah, now she's out after serving 13 months. So it says, in a production under intense budget and time crunches and film crews quitting, those live rounds got into Baldwin's 1880 Colt .45 replica that fired during rehearsals on the Bonanza Creek set, striking Hutchins and director Joel Souza. I forgot that he got a little bit of it too. And so she's on parole from May 23rd, 2025 to May 23rd, 2026. She must submit to a curfew, mental health assessment as some of the conditions of her parole. She cannot own guns, has to meet regularly with the parole officer, and she is under electronic monitoring. She's under what's called dual supervision. That shakes down as a year for her involuntary manslaughter convictions and a year and a half for a different charge of unlawfully entering a firearm banning Santa Fe bar before Russ went into production with the gun. Now the cat wants back in. Oh, okay. So that's the gist of the Alec Baldwin stuff. We're going to get into all the juicy stuff. Let me check the comments here and see what y'all are saying about Alec. So Alec this might just be put behind him. He was at Comic-Con recently talking about what, how he felt, like how he had a tough year. I know they had a reality TV show, him and his wife. And because of that, there was like a second deposition asked for in the civil suit between the parents and the sister. Something to do with the reality show. But, he's trying to get his life back together. Let's see, anybody commenting on this? Hey, Toomey, thanks for coming. You're watching on 2x speed. Oh, yeah. You could never watch the Rust movie, Jane says. Yes, Laura, they did release it. They did release the film after all. Jane is saying, oh, I just answered your question. I wasn't looking at the chat. I was just trying to get to the story because I'm trying to keep it. We have a lot to get through today, so I was just trying to read it before I got to the comments. Why would real bullets ever be on the set? And that's what they were saying. There's conspiracy theories behind it if you wanted to go through the tinfoil hat route. Yeah, kind of scary to think about every time they use the equipment and they're depending on other people. Yeah, but there's like 3 levels of checking. So it's crazy that, a live bullet did get through. And Marie talks about the crow. Yeah, that's the other, craziest onset death prior to this. Let's see what else is going on, y'all. I missed a bunch of comments. Everyone's just kind of coming in now for the good stuff. I think the reality show is karma for Baldwin. A lot of people think his wife is karma for Baldwin. She's a lot. I don't like him at all, and his wife is crazy, speaking like she's a foreigner, Jane says. And Jen says, I forgot about Russ. I know this is a case that, kind of has been, I mean, it's from a long time ago. It's 2021, so that's 4 years ago. But like I said, we're very lucky with Baldoni and stuff that that we get, like a rush trial and everything. Usually this stuff takes years and years and years. Obviously, this is a criminal matter with some civil stuff, but yeah, it was just kind of my Roman Empire the other day. I was just like, I wonder whatever happened with that. And it seemed like there was tons of updates. So I wanted to share it with y'all. Y'all know I make my content based on my Roman empires. She says, I'm not a fan of Alex, but how can it be the actor's fault if he was handed a wrong prop? Isn't that exactly why there are safety people in place? Yeah. But a lot of people were saying that he shouldn't have even had his finger on the trigger during the practice, but he says that he didn't pull the trigger. He says it just kind of went off. So it was a faulty gun. People just get too relaxed and slack. And yeah, I think that it was later proven that maybe she was coming to work not all the way there, Hannah. And that's why she got but yeah, a lot of people thought she was a scapegoat. And that, it was she was the only one who got anything for it. So that's the Alec Baldwin of it all. I hope y'all enjoyed the update. And we'll keep y'all updated on what goes on with that civil case. So let me go ahead and just X out all this stuff. And we'll get into the next docket avalanche. So y'all, yesterday I promised y'all that I would play docket avalanche, and then I was so rushed trying to keep it under an hour that I ended up not playing it. So I apologize for not coming through on that, but we do have docket avalanche to play after the show. And so last night there was another docket avalanche. We had a bunch of stuff I posted. Hey, Citizen Night Owls, who else is awake streaming docket avalanche while reading court docs? Opposition to at Perez Hilton's motion to quash dropped in Nevada. So the Lively Party dropped that. Wayfarer's opposition to Isabella Ferrer's, how do we say Ferrer, egregious filing, and Joneswork and Abel agreed on something, which we'll get into that. I delivered on the docket avalanche. And so, yeah, I ended up, if you guys go to my post, it's the latest post. I posted all the docs and the links. I got the song ready for y'all, jamming out, so y'all can, play the song as you read the docs. So in the thread, it's the opposition to Perez Hilton, the Jones and Abel filing, and then the Freedman, which I didn't put up in the description, but it was the opposition for sanctions and removal of his pro-hack vice, which was super spicy, this clapback. So yeah, so it's all there for y'all to read. We'll go over it. Lauren has a show this morning where she's going over it. Obviously, she's the go-to to read it. So we're not going to read too much of it, but I'm just going to bring up a little bit of like what I found compelling. So this is the letter about the young Lily, like their clapback. This is the reply to that. Like, are y'all kidding me? So there was a couple of redactions here. And then let me hold on. Let me go to the second page. So this is where like a lot of it was. It says the opposition alleges that in attempting personal service after her lawyer refused to accept service on her behalf, Mr. Baldoni is harassing Miss Ferrer and attempting to draw her deeper into litigation and disputes that she has done her best to avoid. And then I love the docket 666 right here, docket 666, page 1, because a lot of people are like, it was evil, and it was docketed at 666. It was not the Wayfarer parties who first subpoenaed Miss Ferrer, it was Miss Lively. And she appears to have her attorney appears to have accepted service for that, and so that's what a lot of people were saying yesterday. She should not be permitted to obtain discovery while Miss Ferrer and her counsel frustrate the Wayfarer parties for their discovery. So this is where it gets spicy because they basically gave her an ultimatum. Given the circumstances, the Wayfarer parties are willing to stipulate that none of the parties will use any communications to form or concerning any communication to from or concerning Miss Ferrer or any testimony from her in any manner in this action. So, like if they can reach a joint stipulation that will satisfy Miss Ferrer's apparent desire to avoid entanglement in this. So they're like, okay, if you don't want to respond to the subpoena, that's fine. You don't have to respond to the subpoena. But Blake Lively can't use whatever, she subpoenaed from you, and we'll just file a joint stipulation that you're just out of the case. Like you're just not a fact witness or anything like that. You'll just be out of the case. If this is all so harassing for you and it's too much, because it's like, how is a subpoena from Lively not harassment, but this one is? So that's where we're at. Riley says, which means Blake cannot use anything from her in any of the court proceedings. Boom. Exactly. That's why I was like, mic drop. And yes, Senti, it sounds like they are giving her an out with the stipulation. Yes, they are. This submission from Kevin Fritz is pure class. And yeah, I think in the description, I was like, from the pen of Kevin Fritz, because I love his writing. I know we haven't gotten anything lately from Freedman, but Kevin Fritz is just amazing as a writer. And I'm sorry, I have a bigger crowd today, this morning, so I'm trying to get through all the comments, but I also want to get through everything we have to get through. So let me see, what else do we have here? And how would the 107 subpoena sent out not be harassing? Yes, Riley, but Wayfair subpoena is make it make sense. Yep. Hey, Christy. And Laura says agreed. Everyone's saying agreed to Riley. So Elizabeth says that works. No one will get to use her. I mean, I think it's great positioning for them. Either they get the subpoena or, no one gets to use her. I mean, I feel like it's fair. It's definitely fair. And Mary, really quick, I'll put her coming up there. I'm glad they're doing this. I'm loving me some Fritz. So if you guys, I know I plug this on my channel all the time, but if y'all don't follow Ashley Brianna Eve, go give her a follow. She has a great video on yesterday's, infuriating filing on Isabella Ferrer. And she always calls everything, right? Like she's great at what she does with the PR, branding, marketing stuff. Give her a follow if you want to know more on like the PR side of what's happening that she covers. And so she basically called it like, there's this SEO stuff going on here because Taylor Swift was leading in the top stories. But I believe at the time of this video, there was still no articles. She had made a shorter video where she's like, what's the end game? I still don't see anything. But then right after she had posted that video, we got an article from People. And then this is what happened. It says, this is from It Ends with Lawsuits. They said Kevin Fritz should have included these headlines on the docket. So look, Rolling Stone, it ends with us star. Isabella Ferrer claims Justin harassed her. Isabella Ferrer accuses Justin Baldoni of attempting to harass her over requests for private messages. See, at least they put it in quotations. A lot of people didn't. Look, harassment with no quotations. Accuses Justin Baldoni of bullying and harassment. Just Jared. This one, Marie Claire. It ends with us star. Isabella Ferrer claims against Justin Baldoni explained. So it just, look, more. It ends with us. Actress Isabella Ferrer accuses Justin Baldoni of harassing her during a legal battle. The PR agencies on the West Coast have taken some time to get going. No comment from Justin's team just yet. So be ready for a long statement tomorrow. So I believe this is from Chris PR on TikTok. But yeah, so he gathered up all the headlines that were labeling him as a harasser. And yeah, if you go to Abe's video, she's basically shows like how, to manipulate the media. Like this was basically a PR filing, and it infuriated everybody and all that stuff. And in their response, they say like this has not the indemnification and all that stuff that they put into it has nothing to do with anything. Like we're talking about alternative service, Your Honor. So that's what they put in that letter. I know Lauren covered it in full. So y'all can head over there to read the whole letter. But we're going to move into the Perez Hilton of it all. If y'all don't follow him over on YouTube, he's literally, making live videos of, I believe it's on the live end of the whole saga. Like, here it is. This is what's going on. I'm a mess. So if you guys want to follow his journey, as he's still one of the TMZ3 in Subpoena Gate, this is where you can get your info on what's going on with Perez. But last night, a filing dropped in Nevada, in the Nevada docket. And so you guys have the link. He also gave it in the video, the actual case number and everything. I believe it's here, the 225. If y'all want to deposit as well here to get the docket number. But it's on Court Listener, so you guys can have the whole docket. I will link it in the description. But this filing is on my X, like I said. So it's opposition to the third party, Perez Hilton's motion to quash and cross motion to compel. So it's pretty much a lot of the same stuff that was in the cross motion to compel already. It says Ms. Lively filed the underlying litigation asserting claims of SH, retaliation. So there's the background that he's put more than 540 disparaging pieces of content. That she served a subpoena after Tag identified him. And someone asked me yesterday, like, did he really cede? No, the wording was any communications with content creators. And then the definition of content creator was anyone who had intentionally or not, like, ceded, blah, blah, blah. Like, it was in the wording, but Tag never said he did anything like that. They just said that they at one point communicated with him and listed him. Which could have been for something as simple as a statement. So Ms. Lively served the subpoena and Mr. Hilton sought relief in the issuing court. So they basically, like we suspected, want to send it back to the New York courts. The subpoena does not impose any undue burden on Mr. Hilton. It does not seek the disclosure of privileged materials. So these were like, opposing what he had said. He's like, it imposes undue burden. They're trying to disclose privileged materials. And then here they go again. Mr. Hilton was not acting as a professional journalist when he generated the material sought. If applicable, the Nevada Shield law should give way. So he's saying that, another thing he had listed was the Nevada anti-SLAPP law. It says it does not provide a basis to quash. The subpoena is procedurally valid. He said it was not procedurally valid. And then the trade secrets that he also used in his motion. So y'all go read the motion if you haven't yet. It's in that docket. Like I said, I'll link it. But this is basically their clapback, basically saying that, and so they cite all the case law here. I'm just going to scroll down through it. I'm not going to read it all. Obviously, we don't have time to get all the way into it. But, they did use the letters. I believe it was some of the content creators that were like, he needs to be careful. Everything he's talking about in Judge Lehman's court is going to be shown to the judge in Nevada. And sure enough, Here they brought it in, the 3 statements that they brought in the sexy statements. I have no interest in responding to the plantation loving princess. Where's the sexy? Oh yeah, right here. Which your sexy and smart self has every right to impose on that clown based on your inherent powers in this court. So they put in 3 statements from those letters, and they basically said he was writing to the court every day, Your Honor. He availed himself to the jurisdiction. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if they're correct on that or not. But it seems like it should be fought in Nevada because that's the place of compliance. And from what I saw in one of Perez's videos, they basically said that, and let me make this bigger. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, they basically said that that was in the documents, right? The compliance part was in the documents. It said one of the filings, the latest one where they told him that he had to serve Ezra, it said like the compliance is in Nevada. So I'm not sure if that verbiage was about that. And the chat is going fast, y'all. So I'm trying to catch up. That sexy statement should get Perez extra credit, says Khaleesi. So anyways, as we continue down here, they go into the legal standards or whatever, but I'm just kind of like, giving y'all the spicy tea on what's in it. Obviously they're like, this doesn't matter, the anti-SLAPP. So this is them responding. So it says, we request that the court compels Mr. Hilton to respond to the subpoena within 7 days of entry of an order. Accordingly, Mr. Hilton must produce all of these materials. So they're saying that in lieu of it not getting moved to New York, that they want the Nevada court to go ahead and compel him within 7 days. And they argue, he says, I can get this from someone else, but we've been trying to get it from Wayfarer and we can't. And so they make all their points as to why it's valid and all that stuff. Let me see if there was anything else spicy that I skipped over. Oh, they just keep saying he does not qualify as a reporter. So I found that pretty crazy. I'm looking forward to what his response is going to be. It says his self-description in his motion as a globally recognized journalist who adheres to journalist standards is belied by the record and his out-of-court statements. But it's like, just because you say you're an influencer and don't outwardly say I'm a journalist, like you don't have it in the name like me, like citizen journalist. Like, what do they expect? Like he does. He reports on the news. And there's, like celebrity reporters. There's all kinds of different journalists. So, and he does refer to himself as a columnist because he started off as a blogger. So I don't know. I don't know if I feel like that statement of him not being a journalist is correct. Is not acting as a professional journalist. Like, I don't know. They're starting to get to the nitty-gritty of it, but we'll see what they say. I know I'm probably making y'all dizzy here scrolling through it, but I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. But that's kind of like the gist of it. They brought in all the stuff from New York. They're saying that's the court that it belongs to. He's been, going over there a ton. And then look, they included all the titles of his Blake Lively's unethical, Blake Lively's a bully, of all his titles. And again, they brought the Blackface Blake and all that stuff again to the courts in Nevada. So now it's in the Nevada docket as well, all her nicknames. So she's Mrs. Worldwide over here, or at least statewide. So yeah, y'all can go and read that. Again, it's in the comments. We also had a kind of like a nothing burger filing from Jennifer Abel and Joneswork. They both agreed to is this wait, this is which one is this? Oh, this is the opposition from Freedman. Sorry. So yeah, so she has a Nevada judge. Sorry, I'm gonna pull. Where was maybe I didn't pull it, but there was a one from Jennifer Abel. Oh, right here. Here it is. Sorry about that. That they write to respectfully jointly request that the court apply the parties' prior briefing for the amended third-party complaint seeking indemnification, because basically they want the Joneswork party wants to dismiss it, and so they're saying use the prior briefing in order to make your decision on that. And so they both agreed that they're not going to file anything new, just use whatever we filed before to make a decision on that. So that was kind of like a nothing burger on the docket. But the real spicy one was this Fritz writing calling out Lively's counsel in opposition to the motion for sanctions against defendant's counsel. So here's the table of contents. We'll go through it. Obviously, I think this also is being read by Lauren. The history of publicity relating to Miss Lively, and it ends with us. Miss Lively's relentless campaign against Mr. Freedman. Oh, so this is where Perez Hilton did actually something like really, really cool, because they basically state in the intro that like, remember when Perez was doing all this stuff, like, saying, calling the names and all that, and then the judge was like, no one can act in this manner, no one can call each other names, not to counsel, not to anybody. Well, guess what? It literally benefited them here, because they're like, they're name calling, and you made a rule not to name call. And so hopefully there's not let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, I probably should have put it, but basically they're saying that, like, they're coming after me, they're doing all this stuff. She's not, and there's some really bangers in here. Blissfully tone deaf to her own conduct, Miss Lively is not only unwilling to accept that her own celebrity and actions have generated the media frenzy that she now complains about. And that's what we keep saying, like, they keep making it worse and worse. He goes into like how the subpoenas, when she subpoenaed all these other parties, how that made it worse. And this is where he basically lays it all out for the judge. In August 2024, this all started when she tried to defriend or unfollow Justin Baldoni on social media. She froze him out of the marketing campaign. She put him in the basement, and that's when it started. And then it says, her relentless campaign against Freedman. And this is where he did the reverse Uno, where, they're saying Freedman's out in the press, da da da. And here he put all the press statements that they did. Oh, wait, no, these are, I think, these are Freedman's 10 statements. Sorry, the 14 statements are down here of her. So these are the ones that they cited that he had stated. And remember, they misquoted Megyn Kelly, saying that he had called her, look, and referring to Miss Lively's reputation as a bitch. But he never did that. That was Megyn Kelly who referred to that. So he goes into like, you can't hold me accountable for so here's some of the highlights here. It says they were basically saying, like, you can't hold me to what happened with Megyn, because that's a third party. Like, just because I silently like kind of agreed. This is the one meme that I have on TikTok, or the GIF, the kind of edit I made of him where he's sipping, and it's like when the bestie spills the tea and then she's just talking shit in the background and he's just sipping his coffee cup. If y'all don't follow me over on TikTok, it's the same C Journalist 24. Y'all go check out that video. It's really funny. It's Megyn Kelly talking, and then just Freedman on the side, just sipping the coffee, sipping the tea. So it says, so this is some of the highlighted portions. It says, clients do have a right to their attorneys to speak. Oh, this is where the judge himself at the last motion to quash hearing for one of the subpoenas against Freedman, he said, clients have the right to have their attorney speak to the members of the press, particularly in a high-profile case, and to give their interpretation. The public has an interest in that also, so I can't begrudge you for speaking to members of the press, and I'm not going to begrudge Ms. Garofalo. Ellen Garofalo is one of Baldoni's other lawyers for doing that. So he cites the judge's own words, like, you guys can go out and talk to the press. And then let me hold on, let me go back here. Up. What'd I do? Okay, can y'all still see this? Hold on. Okay, so this was from It Ends With Lawsuits. Shout out to It Ends With Lawsuits. I haven't been over there in like a long time. But they were the ones. Court Listener wasn't working last night. You couldn't get it up. And so they were the ones that had it up. So yeah, I guess I'm back on It Ends With Lawsuits a little bit. I know a lot of people really didn't like what was going on over there. Like there was, change of the mods and all that stuff. But okay, so here they summarize the highlights where it was a reminder that Judge Lyman issued an order not to use disrespectful language in filings. And again, big shout out to Perez for making that happen, because now, it's an order from the judge saying you cannot attack counsel, and they continue to do it. They just did it. Isabel's lawyer just did it. So he should get sanctioned because he was literally talking crap in that, the Baldoni party this, Baldoni this. Megyn Kelly is not subject to the sanctions. We know that. Another reminder that RR is no longer a party to the case. And I believe there's a highlight here somewhere in the footnote. I thought I saw it highlighted. Hold on. It was a little footnote at the bottom that was highlighted. It fails to explain how the public statements Miss Lively conveniently fails to explain how these public statements differ from Mr. Freedman's. In fact, they are not. Like the statements Lively complains of, they challenge defendants' truthfulness. They attack Mr. Baldoni's character by repeatedly stating that his work to protect women was a fraud, and in fact, he is a typical serial sex abuser, and defendants are bullies. Unlike Mr. Freedman's statements, those from Miss Lively's counsel barely conceal their intent to taint the jury pool, particularly the millions of fans who follow and support Taylor Swift. So they bring in Taylor Swift because in some of those statements, they were purposely pulling in Taylor Swift, like in the subpoena. Like, I'm glad that, Taylor Swift doesn't have to endure this harassing subpoena. They've gone with the harassing subpoena thing for a while, since back then, if y'all remember. If Mr. Freedman's statements are sanctionable, so are those of Lively's counsel. I feel like Lively's counsel has gone harder because they went with the Darvo stuff. And I believe here you can see, let me pull up the actual filing real quick, to pull up the 14 statements that they did, because they were pretty bad. Right here. So these are the statements that they're saying that were like really, really bad. But this is the one that I'm talking about. This is what experts call Darvo, deny attack, reverse victim offender. Like they were literally trying to say, like, Darvo, I've only seen it used in like DV mostly, but look, this is an age-old story. A woman speaks up with concrete evidence, and this is a chapter in the abuser playbook. Like they were literally calling him an abuser, and the CRD, rightfully so, they claim the CRD is what started it all. In the CRD, they were already talking crap by giving it to the New York Times. So the CRD didn't have to go to the New York Times. It's a private document, and they willfully submitted it to the New York Times to attack Baldoni in the press. And then from there, they've just been playing defense. And so, yeah, he reversed Uno's and is like, look, here's one of the statements. So, in its motion to dismiss, the New York Times correctly called out Justin Baldoni's lawsuit for what it is, a shameless PR document. It's like, no, it's a self-defense. Like he has the legal right to file a lawsuit in self-defense. Like just like she had a legal right to, go and file what she did. Like these are our rights as Americans. We can go to the courts to, if we have disputes. So and look, it keeps going and going. Look here, it's 14 different statements. So those statements that that he's basically saying that they have the right to have their attorney speak to the press. Most of them came from Deadline articles by Dominic Patton, and there was one from CNN, there was one from TMZ, and there was one from E! News. So it was Deadline, CNN, TMZ, and E! News. BL's counsel and spokesperson statements are no different than Freedman's. Yeah, we saw that one. And then lastly, Cecily put, if the statements are sanctionable, so are those of Lively's. Yeah, we went over that. So shout out to It Ends With Lawsuits for that that little overview of what the filing was about. But and it wasn't a bunch of pages. I mean, it was 24 pages, but I believe the other one that we had for Isabel the other day was like long. It was like 66 pages. It had a ton of stuff in it and exhibits and stuff. This one was a pretty easy read. And so in the end, what they're asking for is that the court enter an order denying the motion for sanctions, because they're like, she has no, and even the pro hack vice section, they're basically saying like, this will inherently hurt his case. Like, you can't do this. And they cite case law on why. Right here, Ms. Lively seeks to have the court revoke the pro hac vice status, effectively disqualifying him as Wayfarer's defendant's counsel. The court rejected a similar effort to enjoin opposing counsel from participating in the litigation as a sanction for posting a press release on the internet. So this is the case, Hilton Hotel Corp. and NIV versus Hilton Hotel Corp. Finding that the plaintiffs have provided no explanations or authority for such an extraordinary and harsh remedy. So, I mean, they came correct with the case law. Fritz came correct with the clapback. He wasn't wrong. And I know that a lot of citizens had clocked this. Like, there was some, people on TikTok and stuff. And it seems like they may, we know that they are listening because we saw all of the content creators post and stuff. And so we know they're listening out there. And, I felt like a lot of the stuff that was in here was stuff that we as citizens had already said. Maybe it's just common sense, but I also like to think they're kind of out there picking up little Easter eggs from all of us. And so here, really quick, court of random opinion. Justin Baldoni scolds Isabella Ferrer's inflammatory harassment allegations. So she's reading the one letter. So y'all go support court of random opinion. I said it yesterday. The one way we can fight back is by supporting our creators. Whether it's watching a video, getting merch or whatever it is, to support the fact that they're still making the content to get the word out, because we can't rely on MSM. We can't rely on anything like that. So the best way to support is by, supporting the creators, even if it's just a like, even if it's just a share, even if it's just a comment. All of that helps. It helps the algorithm. So let me check the comments as we wrap up here. Can we flood the basement with rats? What is this comment? I'm so behind Bargain Basement Blake, because we have such a big crowd. Wow, we have over 100 people. I think this is the biggest crowd I've had for a morning show. So thank you all for stopping by this morning. But the comments are going a little bit faster, so I apologize if I'm not in the comments here. Let's see what's going on. Oh, they're going to be covering all of this on Friday with DFJ and the Q&A. Leanne is saying we're covering all of this on Friday. So, yeah, if y'all want to go over there for that Q&A that they're going to be doing, accusing Darvo as a form of Darvo equals double Darvo. Right, Joy? Like, no, if anyone's doing this is their thing. They do projection like a lot. They literally said he was pulling pages from the abuser's playbook. How is that not offensive? But Wayfarer parties, yeah, exactly. How are Wayfarer's parties? I mean, yes, they did say that she lied and that she, it was, but at the end of the day, it's like, if you guys ever follow like true crime, Jose Baez, that's one of my favorite attorneys. And I know that people feel a certain way because of the Casey Anthony, but as far as like just like watching law as like a sport. He did great in the Aaron Hernandez case and all that stuff. And he's a PR lawyer. Like, he'll go out there, he'll talk, he'll be like, and recently in the Brian Koberger, where's DFJ? She follows Koberger. Oh, we're not supposed to say his name. Inmate 214. I keep forgetting. In the Idaho 4 inmate 214 case, his attorney went out and said he's completely innocent, like this is overreaching by the prosecution, and then he ended up signing a thing saying he was actually guilty, and he did it after she had like gone out in public saying like he's innocent. It's just yeah, so let's continue. At CJ, I woke up to a docket avalanche. I know, I'm about to play the video. I apologize. Yesterday, I did not play your video, so I apologize on that. We're gonna play it right now as we head out. I'm just trying to get to some of these comments. Let me see. Oh yay, CJ! I know this is my biggest crowd. Thank you, Joy, for the support. And if you guys can help the algo as you all leave here, drop a comment share it. That always helps me to get seen, so that my videos get seen more. And we're going on week 3, so hopefully we get monetization going soon, and we get some cool stuff for y'all as well. Because I think once you qualify for that, you can qualify for like merch and stuff. So, you guys are growing with me with the channel. We're on week 3, so I feel like we're doing good. We have some of the day ones here in the chat. So I'm trying to get through all the comments here. Yes, please subscribe. It's $3 to like and share. Yes. So we're going to go out with Docket Avalanche. Like I said, go support the creators. Tomorrow's show is going to be a great one for the hip hop heads. I know we kind of got into the Drake case as far as hip hop, which we are going to be doing a deep docket dive on Thursday night. But tomorrow, y'all, it's Tory Lanez. Let me pull this up so we can switch it up a little bit. It's Tory Lanez. It's going to be the Diddy defamation lawsuit that he's doing. Y'all, I always say Tory Lanez, Tory Lanez. His appeal might be successful, y'all. Like, I watched the hearing yesterday, and it just might be successful. So I'm really excited to delve into that with you guys. And then Busta Rhymes is being accused of SH by his former assistant. So the hip hop world is just being hit, and I don't know if it's always been like that, where they have lawsuits, but it just seems like this year is like the year of the lawsuit. Like, we had Fat Joe with his accusations as well. We have Drake versus UMG. So it's been crazy for some of the rappers that I tend to follow. So stay tuned for that. We're gonna head out with Docket Avalanche, y'all. I appreciate y'all, and we will see you tomorrow morning.
The docket grows under her hands. Pages flutter like desperate plans. Subpoenas flying like paper cranes. All for nothing, empty claims. She's drowning in her own tide. No evidence, just her pride. Docket avalanche, here we crash. Falling storms that turn to ash. Exhibits stacked, but they collapse. Truth's a flood she can't outlast. Her pen screams louder than her proof. Each word's a plea to twist the truth. Sanctions whispered in the air, but justice doesn't fight unfair. Wayfarer stands, calm as stone. The avalanche breaks on its own. She built a mountain, then slid away. The gavel speaks louder today. Docket avalanche, here we crash. Filing storms that turn to ash. Exhibits stacked, but they collapse. Truth's a flood she can't outlast.
All right, y'all, follow DFJ for any more music. I believe she has some songs. She's trying to get her YouTube subscribers up. So y'all go leave a comment if you like the song. And like I said, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning. It's a great one. Y'all can finish it out over there. Give her some likes and give her a comment. So I appreciate y'all. See y'all tomorrow morning.